Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm Mark, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Chad.
Good to be here, Mark. And yeah, let's get real about something a lot of us wrestle with. Being super ambitious, but also, let's be honest, a little lazy at times.
Exactly, Chad. Today we're tackling practical steps for ambitious but lazy people to actually succeed. It's that weird spot where you have big dreams but low motivation, or you just can't get yourself moving consistently toward those goals.
Yeah, man, I think almost everybody can relate to that in some way. You want the shiny end result, but the effort it takes? Nah, not today. But hey, there are ways to work with that mindset instead of fighting it.
Right. So let's break down some straightforward, usable strategies that don't ask for intense overnight transformation, because that's usually a deal breaker.
That's the key. Forget grind harder. Let's talk about grinding smarter. Or maybe not grinding at all, but more like gliding forward.
Love that imagery. So let's start with one fundamental concept, breaking down your big goals into tiny, bite-sized steps. How do you see that working for someone who's ambitious but got zero interest in tackling the whole mountain at once?
For me, it's about minimizing friction. Like, if the goal feels like climbing Everest, you're going to freeze up. Instead, imagine the goal as a single step on a staircase and just focus on putting one foot in front of the other. So maybe just write one sentence if you're working on a book, or just open your running shoes if you want to start jogging.
That's great, because it acknowledges the resistance without pretending it doesn't exist. Instead of I have to finish a 10,000-word project, it's I'll just brainstorm 5 ideas today. That keeps momentum alive in a manageable way.
Exactly. And for lazy folks, the less mental weight, the better. Your brain hates big leaps. If you make the first step tiny, it feels like no big deal. And once you do that first tiny step, the guilt or resistance fades.
That reminds me of the 5-minute rule I've heard about, committing to just 5 minutes of work, knowing you can stop after that. More often than not, once you start, you keep going.
Right, and it works because of a weird psychological trick where starting is the hardest part. Once you're into it, your brain gets curious, or even excited sometimes. So for lazy ambition to work, leveraging that inertia is gold.
So translating that to everyday life, someone wants to build a side hustle but keeps procrastinating. Instead of launch my full business plan, they write a draft email for 5 minutes or just research one competitor quickly.
Yes, that's all skillful baby steps. And the important part is, don't judge yourself if you stop. The goal is to keep your brain happy and involved without pressure.
Okay, so micro steps and 5 minutes or less to start. What about the environment? How much does setting up your space or tools come into play for lazy but ambitious people?
Huge, man. The environment is like a silent partner or saboteur. The easier you make the first step in your surroundings, the better your chances. Like, if you want to read more, keep the book on your pillow. If you want to work out, have your workout gear out and ready to grab.
So basically, you create a physical nudge that lowers the activation energy needed. Rather than deciding where your motivation is, you're engineering your environment to invite action.
Totally. And for lazy people, friction kills motivation instantly. If you have to move 1,000 things before starting, forget it. If the environment screams start now with no hassle, you're way more likely to do it.
One thing I've heard sometimes is digital minimalism to reduce distractions. How harsh should someone be with notifications or social media if laziness is just because they get sucked into scrolling?
I'm all for ruthless minimalism here. Phones can be productivity black holes. For me, deleting distracting apps or at least disabling notifications during focus time saves me hours of guilt later. Lazy people are not immune to dopamine traps.
That sounds relatable. You create barriers to the distractions and invitations to the tasks you want done. Speaking of dopamine, even if we don't dive deep scientifically, do you think these small wins trigger enough brain reward to build motivation?
Absolutely. Every small completion, every tiny win gives you a hit of satisfaction, dopamine or not. That feels good. It's the reason habits become addictive in a positive way. Even if you're lazy, you can train your brain that small progress equals reward.
That reinforces why perfectionism is such a killer for lazy ambition. If you say, I must do an amazing job or not do it at all, your brain just stalls.
Perfectionism is the archenemy. It's lazy ambition's worst nightmare because it demands energy, focus, and endless second-guessing. Instead, aiming for done is better than perfect keeps things moving.
What about scheduling? Many productivity tips say to block time, but for lazy, ambitious people, does that risk feeling like a chore or death sentence?
It can, but with a twist. Instead of rigid hour blocks, try flexible time windows that say between 3 and 5 p.m. I'll do something related to my goal. Or even just make an intention the night before, tomorrow morning, I'll do one small step toward X.
Flexible and gentle nudges instead of hard constraints. That way, you keep the structure but reduce the psychological fight.
Exactly. And on tough days, you can still switch it up or switch off guilt-free, knowing you set boundaries without sliding into all or nothing thinking.
Let me ask you, do you think motivation or discipline plays a bigger role for lazy, ambitious people?
Oof, that's a debate. My take? Motivation is a luxury for us lazy folks. It flickers and fades fast. Discipline, if you frame it right, is more about tiny habits and environment design rather than iron will.
So harnessing discipline that fits your laziness, not trying to be a steel-muscled robot.
Yup. Discipline for lazy people is more about making the right choices automatic or easy, like flossing without thinking, because the floss is right there, not fighting some epic battle every night.
What about the role of accountability? Could getting an accountability partner help overcome laziness despite ambition?
It depends. Accountability partners can be great if you align them with your vibe. A buddy who respects your pace and calls you out gently. But if the accountability feels like pressure or competition, it backfires.
So kind but consistent accountability tailored to your limits.
Exactly. And sometimes just sharing your goals publicly or in a group, even online, creates enough social nudge to keep you on track without being suffocating.
So, to recap some key practical steps, break goals into tiny tasks, use 5-minute starts, optimize your environment to reduce friction, manage distractions ruthlessly, ditch perfectionism, try flexible scheduling, build easy habits, and consider kind accountability.
That sums it up nicely. For lazy, ambitious folks, success isn't about brute force. It's about smart, small moves that build up without fear or burnout.
Before we wrap up, let me throw a question to our listeners. What's one tiny step you've been avoiding that you could try doing for just 5 minutes tomorrow?
Yeah, and share how you plan to set up your environment or mindset to make that step easier. We want to hear what works or what's holding you back.
Thanks for hanging out with us today. Hopefully, you found some useful nuggets to help bridge that gap between your big dreams and low motivation.
Remember, lazy ambition doesn't have to be a paradox. With the right approach, it can lead to real success.
Catch you next time.
Take care, everyone.